Our pleasure, Stephen.
Okay, we just started recording this afternoon's Launchpad. Once again, my name is John Kulo on behalf of the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA. We are delighted and honored to have Stephen Lin from the Bridges at Rancho Santa Fe presenting this afternoon on cart fleet management as part of our ongoing Launchpad Associate PGM Program Level 1 workshops. Thank you very much, Stephen, for being with us this afternoon. We will be conducting our second Launchpad on Zoom as part of an effort to make the Launchpad workshops a lot more interactive for the associates that are in attendance. And everybody who is on this afternoon's Zoom does have the ability to speak once you are unmuted. We have a small classroom today. So that being said, take it away, Stephen. And those of you that are on, you can interject your question if you see fit, or you could hold till Stephen's done with his presentation and we can go back and we could make it a lot more interactive and a lot more casual because we do want to facilitate and encourage that conversation. Thanks, Stephen. It's all yours.
Thank you very much, John. Again, thank you to John, Tom, and Tom for setting all this up. I think it's an excellent tool for PGA associates who are trying to get the portfolio done. We have all had to grind and get through that portfolio. So having a little bit of reference to go back for questions, and then also you'll have my contact information to reach out when you're in the actual work portfolio to help you. So let's get started. A little bit about myself. My name is Stephen Lin. I'm the head golf professional at the Bridges in Rancho Santa Fe. I've been there for 2 years. Previous to that, I was at the Olympic Club in San Francisco. I was there for 3 years, an assistant golf pro. And previous to that, I was an assistant golf professional at Glenwild Golf Club in Park City, Utah. The facilities that I've been at are all private facilities. So I'll have more experience and more knowledge on the private side. But I think at the end of the day, having a successful cart fleet program really goes along public or private. You really need to have some of these core values that will go over in the presentation. Introduction. So approximately 1 million golf carts in the US generate $1 billion in revenue. That's pretty incredible, especially compared to the 1950s. There was only 40% of facilities who had golf carts. The 3 major golf cart manufacturers are E-Z-Go, Club Car, and Yamaha. At the Bridges, we currently use Club Car, and we'll go kind of into those lease terms, or actually we buy ours outright. And really the whole point of having golf carts is to provide an opportunity at your facility so that you can create revenue or provide a nice service for your members. Let's get to the next one. And during COVID, I think everyone's rounds have been amplified. Our rounds are about 40%. So having that strong cart fleet program in there is going to benefit you really well. And if you don't have a strong one, I think it's going to be amplified during COVID, how those weaknesses, especially in your facilities, person who's in charge of the golf carts, you'll see those weaknesses and the strengths. You'll be able to see those factors quickly. If it's weak, those weaknesses are pretty apparent. Benefits of having a golf cart fleet. Sorry, some benefits of having a successful cart fleet are to generate income. I think for us mainly, we provide it as a service, so we don't charge any fees at the Bridges for our golf carts, and it really is just part of our experience there. Moa, do you have a question? You're unmuted. If not, it's okay. And don't be scared. Interrupt me. That's what I want. I think we have that. Unmute yourself and certainly ask questions. Feel free to. So really having that successful golf cart program makes it, it can increase speed and play. It can allow people who aren't really able to physically walk a golf course to be able to play and enjoy our game that we love. And I spoke a little bit about our image. It just depends on the facility. We are a high-end private golf club, so we have a couple bells and whistles more than the average municipal golf course probably does, with USB cords. Some of our personal carts have air conditioning in them, so a lot of bells and whistles that are options on there. And then really important is increasing the compensation for golf pros, either increasing your dues to have a successful facility, or increasing drawbacks that I was talking about that are apparent, or probably have become apparent if you had some of those weaknesses during COVID. It can actually increase the cost of a round at your facility, and a poorly managed fleet could end up losing money. It's a slippery slope. I think having those policies and procedures set in stone and training your staff are so important, because that's what you have to rely on, especially when we get busy, especially when you have a lot of rounds. Choosing fleet, you have to look at your facility, the vision and the mission statement of what you want, your customer needs and expectations. We have a high-end customer at the Bridges, and we would expect our golf carts to be top shape, detailed, clean, and fast, and able to make it through the round. We at the Bridges, we buy our golf carts, and we usually about every 5 years is when we buy them, versus leasing, and that's just per our facility. And the size of fleet is very important too. It really depends on your facility. If you can't house extra carts, you need to think about that depending on how many rounds you have. Obviously, our rounds have increased a lot, so it would be nice if we could build a larger cart facility so that we could store more, but that's not really in the cards at the moment. This is an example of a cart lease. And this isn't our cart lease because we buy them, but just an example at a golf course. Obviously, it's a little bit more high-end as they have the lithium batteries and the speakers built in. But just to give a little bit of a background, so this facility, they have 80 cars. Their lease agreement is roughly $8,000 per month, and then they have also an extra package on there for more bells and whistles of the speakers for roughly $2,500 a month. Their facility at the end of their lease term, or halfway in between, so their lease term is 60 months, but in the middle of it, they like to have fresh cars. So they've worked out that the company that they use buys the carts back from them. And that's one of their policies, is they keep their carts really clean. So that company can buy the lease back and get them a new lease, and then also resell those cars for a profit. So everyone kind of wins, but it really just depends on your facility. This is a very specific facility, and they don't use their carts as much as because they're not year round. So it's colder, they have winter months, so they're not using their cars as much. And financial forecasting, man, that is super important in your golf cart fleet. Understanding, having those historical data of how many rounds you're going to have can help you predict how many golf carts you're going to use in a day. Obviously, that has changed for us substantially. We make decisions based on that. So we had considered using lithium batteries for our last fleet that we had. We got this fleet 2 years ago, and we had tried to go with lithium, but for us, they couldn't make it around the golf course twice. That's important because we can only house about 70 carts, and when you're having 100 rounds average a day, we would need to flip some carts. And during COVID, we're really glad that we didn't go with lithium, and lithium is better now. They make lithium that can handle the hills and make it around twice. But at that time, they weren't like that. And we're really glad we did, because now you're 140, 150 rounds. You really need to be able to flip those cars. pricing the fleet properly, and analyzing the competition. What are they charging? What shape are their carts in? Strengths, weaknesses. I think as golf pros, when you visit a facility and you see those moments of truth, it makes a big impact. And we really pride ourselves on having that high quality experience. So our golf carts are detailed. We'll get into a little bit of the policies in the next slides. Carts are kept in good condition and well maintained. Who's in charge of keeping the carts clean? At the bridges, we have our golf operations manager. He sets up a schedule for specific team members to detail certain carts. So we have 70 carts. One team member will be in charge of detailing carts 1 through 15 the first week, and they'll just kind of shift up the line. So it keeps everyone accountable. Again, those policies and procedures are so important. And actually, it's very interesting. Who is responsible for basic maintenance on the carts at the bridges? So we're very lucky. We buy our golf carts and we have someone in-house that maintains them. He basically orders new batteries and rotates the tires, fills up the batteries, and he's full-time. It does take a lot to maintain that, but we buy our golf carts outright. We need them to last as long as we can before we sell them and get new ones. And broken and damaged carts. It's very important to be able to, that can be a big cost factor of having a successful cart fleet. That can be one of the factors that would make you lose money. For example, if you're not maintaining those batteries, you can lose, to replace all the batteries in all our golf cars is $800. And luckily, we have been doing it for a while. So we have the correct water levels and staff trained to take care and maintain those carts. It's very important. Staff is trained, a successful cart fleet, staff is trained to be knowledgeable about the fleet and have clear policies and procedures pertaining to the cart fleet. Again, having those clear policies about who uses those golf carts. We have a really specific policy of tracking who is in what golf cart. That helps us hold members accountable for golf carts damages, and also helps us if members lose something. Since people who play golf, they never lose anything, but if you leave your wallet in a cart, it's really quick. We can go exactly to what number it is because we know what cart you were in that day. Rental policies are important. If you are a member at the bridges, it's in your agreement when you sign that you're responsible for what you do in your golf cart. Safety procedures. We have age restrictions and a really strict policy on not driving backwards on the golf course because of the blind turns at the bridges. Having those cart numbers relative to the member name is very important for all of these, for safety, for accident reporting, insurance, and really training your staff on those safety procedures is really important. In conclusion, having a golf cart fleet that creates significant revenue requires financial planning, good policies, and well-trained staff. I couldn't agree more. Good policies is so big. Those cart numbers have helped us a lot with damages. We were having some problems with damages and members not being responsible for those damages. And all it took is really tweaking your policy a little bit so that we could accurately track the cart numbers for who was taking them. And really it's made our image really well. I get a lot of compliments from guests who come in that the leather and the golf carts are maintained really nice. And that goes a long way for your mission and vision statements at your facility. That's the end of the presentation. I wanted to go over a little bit of the work experience portfolio. Do you guys have any questions for me about the presentation?
Just real briefly, what is the policy? Like, how do you track the carts? You just have like, signing out a key, or what's happening?
So thank you, Chris. We use a live Google Sheet. Sorry, is the camera okay? Should just be on me now. We use a live Google Sheet to track who is using we use a live Google Sheet for all of our tee times at the bridges. And so we'll have the tee sheet made in the morning, and it's the responsibility of the bag room to get the cart numbers on the Google Sheet. So when they load a member, when they load Tom's son, his clubs get called to valet, and they bring his clubs down to the cart staging area. We already know what golf cart we're going to put him in, and we see him on the tee sheet. It's easy for us to do cart 48 for Tom's son. And that's been, and there's a couple other ways for us to ensure that at the first tee, before they tee off, we have a starter who also double checks that number. We know that golf operations get busy when we're having 150 rounds and trying to pull golf clubs and get cars to valet. It gets busy, but having kind of that net, the first tee also making sure that they have the cart numbers was really big for us, and has saved us a lot in those damages and a lot of troubles with lost items, wallets, and golf clubs, knowing which cart they're in.
Okay, and then of course the second part of that question logically should be like, when you have a tournament, a member guest or whatever, like you got guests coming in. I mean, that's pretty fast paced. How are you doing that?
So again, when the guests come in, the valet is also, we have a really good team at the bridges. Valet is very important. So if Chris Robertson came in, the front gate lets us know that Chris Robertson's coming in, and we know what number of golf carts we have at the valet stand. So as soon as you come in, and we've already cheated, we've already assigned you a golf cart number that we're putting your golf bag in. And then the bag room, once we drive your cart down to the bag room, the cart staging area, they're going to double check which cart number it is. And then the first tee is going to be that last check for that cart number.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it.
Hey, Stephen, do you guys ever have events where you don't have enough carts and you have to rent from the outside?
Yes. So we only have, we have 80 carts, we have 70 carts at the bridges, and for obviously our member guests or members or outside tournaments, we do sometimes have to rent extra golf carts that come in. We try our best to use kind of a standard club car so that when we get the rentals, they don't stick out that much. We're also very lucky. We have a lot of personal carts. So if it's a member event, I would say 30% of the carts in that event are going to be personal carts. So we can use, we typically don't run out of golf carts for events.
Do you guys use GPS on your carts?
We do not use GPS on our golf carts. They felt like that took away from the experience a little bit, that the screen on there. I'll have to have you over to the bridges to experience it, but we do not use GPS on our carts.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Steven.
What was the specific reason why you guys don't use GPS on the golf cart?
So we have a lot of personal carts. Thank you for the question. We have a lot of personal. We do have a lot of personal carts, and to kind of get all the golf carts to look the same, you have to have your personal cart. For example, it has to be black. It has to look similar to ours. With all the different brands, we wanted to be able to try to keep it as simple as possible. So that is the answer that I have for that question, why we don't have GPS on the golf cart.
Do you have members who complain that you don't have a GPS on the golf cart, or is it something where they're just okay and they could just use their own yardage finders? Like those
exactly.
Those.
It's kind of funny. So we do actually sell a good amount of GPS range finders. more
Oh.
than some of the surrounding facilities, because they do have GPS on their golf carts. But it's not typically a complaint at the bridges for not having GPS on the golf carts.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Hey,
you for the question.
Stephen, I have worked at a high-end resort facility with 3 courses, as well as private. And I found that the resort likes the GPS a little bit more because they don't have the same people playing their course every day. Where the members say, I really don't want to pay, $1 million to put GPS in all my carts because I already know the yardages kind of stuff. So that was just one thought, one observation.
Exactly. Keeping that feel of that really personal touch and experience is important. I think you hit it right on the head. When I see golf carts, and it's not a bad thing, but I do feel a little bit more resorty with that. But there are a lot of pros of having that. Pace of play would be easier to monitor if we had GPS. You could, once you assign cart 48 to Tom's son, I could see what hole he's on. If he's on number 7, how far ahead of pace he would be if he was playing, because he would not be behind pace. Any other questions about the work experience portfolio? I don't really want to go through it because really it's just you interviewing your facility, or if you don't have carts at your facility, whoever manages about it. It's pretty simple.
Stephen, I have a question. First of all, thank you very much for putting this together. I mean, obviously, you know your stuff. Can you talk a little bit about your policies? Maybe not so much customized to the bridges at Rancho Santa Fe, but moreover, generally speaking, from a liability protection standpoint, maybe some experiences in how to best protect your property, or some common pratfalls that we should all be on the lookout for, anything to that nature?
I think a really important and golf courses that I visit around the area is to have that agreement. Whether it be if you're at a public course, having someone sign the credit card slip and also sign their name with their driver's license number so that they can be responsible for that. Even if you're not really going to pursue someone for damages on a golf cart, I think writing your driver's license number on the golf cart will keep you a little bit more cautious of that golf cart, because they could come after you. We're pretty lucky, and it depends on your plan as well, right? If you're leasing the golf carts, if your golf carts are really beat up, you'll lose more money with that. So it's important to have that policy in place. I'm sorry, what is that answer the full question, John? Oh, you're muted, John. John, you're muted.
Yes, it does answer my question. So many instances come up on the public side or the resort side where, yes, you do have them sign, you do technically have all of their information. However, do you want to go to war with a potential future client, a potential future customer? And, you got to pick and choose your battles, whether or not to go after a guy that's, comes out to your golf course twice a week and pays $150 twice a week to play your golf course. So you're really going to nail him for, a $25 tie rod replacement because he, took a curb at an inappropriate angle at a speed that was technically too fast. A lot of times you'll let that go. And then other instances where it is perhaps at a resort where it's someone you may not see, or a golf course, a public golf course where it's a customer that doesn't play a lot of golf, where perhaps you feel it's worth going after them for the amount of damage they caused to your car, but then they turn around and claim physical injury for negligence. It falls back on the facility to make sure you have all of your maintenance records and your preventative maintenance records, moreover, in line if you are going to go to war with someone over that. I
agree. It's very important, and like you said, picking and choosing those battles is going to be a difficult decision, even at where I see a member every single day. I see a member every single day. They pay a lot of money to be a member at my course. And like you said, they're going to pay $25 on this cart rod. It's not about the money. It's about that. I think when you have a successful forecasting, hopefully you've made some money and you have a little bit of that maintenance in there, right? We're going to have to repair the tires. Yeah, if a member rides up on a curb and pops one early, yeah, that might be a little bit extra, but you should have a little bit of wiggle room in that budget and forecasting for those unexplained repairs.
Indeed. Tom, is there any way you could pull your presentation back up? I had a question that I saw on one of the slides.
You mean Steven?
Of course. Which slide?
Back to the successful, the one before that, the lease. There we go, the mock lease.
This one?
Can you talk a little bit about for the associates that are on the call? Can you talk a little bit about the pros and the cons of lease versus own?
Of course. So if you look at the example that I have listed here, this private facility, they really like to have fresh carts every 2 years. Even though their lease is 60 months, they have a deal with the company where they get fresh carts every single 2 years and they buy out the rest of their lease. That goes in hand with their kind of vision and mission statement. They're trying to be the most exclusive and top club, one of the recognized in the country, let alone the state. They really care about the look and the feel and the experience of their golf cart versus buying a car where you have to be able to maintain them for a long time. So for us, it might be a little bit smarter for us to purchase the golf carts outright because we're going to take care of them. And we don't have as many rounds as maybe a public facility. As a private facility, we would hope we kind of have a lot of rounds right now, but we hope that we have a little bit fewer rounds so that the golf carts can stay better a little bit longer versus buying versus lease. In here, you said, and then also about how many carts you have in your fleet. You might not be able to afford to buy 100 outright, 150 golf cars for your facility. You're gonna have to deal with those lease. That's why you have those avenues of different companies. Hey, working out those inside deals. And in doing my research for this at the facilities that I've worked at, most of the facilities have an inside deal with the company they're working with because they either have a long-standing relationship or they have done that historical data. They have that historical data of, hey, this is what I need. Can you guys help me out with the lease fee, or maybe we'll pay a little bit higher lease fee, but you can buy out the rest of our lease so that we can get new cars. That's kind of exactly what that this lease did. Is I think they pay a little bit higher than a normal lease, but they know that their lease is going to get bought out at the end of the term, before the end of the term.
Tom, son, do you, looks like you're unmuted. Do you have,
No, first of all, I want to thank Stephen for the excellent presentation and the feedback, all the questions from all the associates. Thank you for your attention and your continued interest in the Launchpad and for today's session. As my quick point is, I work at a public facility, and we all know the importance of cart maintenance. We've been using Club Car lithium battery carts when it first came out a year and a half ago. And it's been a challenge. So I think when you become PGA members and also leaders of your facilities going forward, I just want to let you know that one of the most important decisions you'll make as a leader of your facility is make carts. Just make sure you do a lot of due diligence and understand it. So you have the best carts for your facility, because every facility is different and you have to have the right fit of carts for your facility. So I want to give that little piece of advice for our future leaders of PGA.
Yeah, that's you're definitely dealing with some dollar figures that could be one of the most expensive purchases you make, especially in your new job. When you're the guy, like you said, it can make or break that your budget for the year. John?
Larry Atlas, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you're a man with a wealth of knowledge and experience and certainly a lot of expertise in this category. Do you have anything to add in your travels in cart fleet management? It seems like we all have, you know, experiences with cart lease programs and cart ownership programs and fleet management, and unfortunately, a lot of it is somewhat negative or a strain on that facet of our business. And it's just one of those things when you're dealing with an automated piece of machinery and, you know, a wide eclectic variety of people that are operating those pieces of machinery under your watch, so to speak. It's nerve-wracking because it's, you know, it's a moving piece of machinery. So it needs maintenance, it needs preventative maintenance. You've got liability, you've got revenue concerns, you've got repair. I mean, it is, and of course you don't just have one of them. You've got, you know, anywhere from 50 to 100 of them, if not more. So the attention to detail and the concern, of course, you know, we haven't spoke at all about staff training when it comes to, you know, the majority of the staff that you have maintaining those carts, aside from the mechanic, a lot of times are, you know, young people, you know, cart staff, either high school or college age. And, you know, that's a whole nother facet of management challenge that rolls into that. Larry, or anybody, does anybody have any experience or advice to share in terms of managing the staff that maintains the carts and some do's and don'ts as it applies to that? Or Stephen, if you want to chime in, feel free.
Of course. And for maybe the associates that don't know, Larry is the associate chair. I'll put his email in the chat so that you guys have that, and he's always available. I think, especially in these times with extra play going on, you really need to follow your policies and procedures. And that training is so important for, like you said, sometimes you're going to have a younger member of your team taking care of those carts. Them having the proper training and the proper knowledge and experience with it. I hope that all my team members have played our golf course, so they know some of the terrain that the golf carts are going to go through. They know that they need to clean some of the parts underneath the wheel well, because it's going to be dirty because of some of the wet areas in the golf carts, and it's very hilly and carts could go off the curbs, and we need to make sure that tires, we have cement all the way around. Basically, the bridge is just kind of unwalkable. The back nine's unwalkable. Front nine you could walk, but back nine's unwalkable. We have a lot of cement, and if those tires get bald or the steering is, or you can see that the tires are starting to wear, that's something that they've been trained when they have that little checklist of when they detail those carts.
Indeed.
Hey, real quick, I can give you a little something with that as well. As manage by walking around, walk your fleet, make sure your fleet's in condition, and don't just put it on the outside staff. It's on you as an associate, as a PGA professional, to make sure your presentation is well-rounded. You know, don't, that's probably the simplest way to make sure things are getting done and your carts are presentable, because that's the first line of what presents your golf course, whether public or private.
Yep.
You know, and Stephen, I will let you know, just from personal experience, I've been with, you know, a facility, you know, at PGA West, we have 47 carts and we have 900 members. But, you know, the difference is 99% of them have their own personal cart.
Yeah.
And so the 47 are there for guests, what have you.
Tom, I have to stop you there. 47 carts. Where's the 48th, 49th, and 50th cart?
You know, I took them home, John. So, you know, I have them in my garage. Okay.
They never got turned in one night and they just stopped counting them. Nobody leases 47 carts.
You're right on that one. You're right on that one. But then I've been at, you know, I was at the Medina Country Club in Chicago. And we had 207 carts because we didn't have anybody that had personal. And the reason I bring up those two odd numbers is, you know, we kind of thought with 47 carts, well, maybe 50, as John said, but 47 carts, you know, we thought we're kind of going through them every day. So we really didn't have to, you know, look at, you know, rotating and what have you and putting them through. And honestly, you know, we got lax in that. And we started seeing, you know, that, you know, all of a sudden battery levels were down and, you know, because we thought, oh, we're just doing this every day and we don't care, you know, we're just plugging them in and they're getting recharged and the whole bit. At Medina, we had 207 and we didn't use them all in a day. So we really focused on, you know, you're going to do 1 through 20 today and refill the, you know, the water level. And then tomorrow you're going to do 21 through 40 and, you know, those kinds of things and putting them in the right rows so that, you know, not the first, you know, 50 got used every day and the last 50 never got used, all that kind of stuff. So the rotation really mattered because we had so many. So it's the attention to that detail that was really important on both fronts. So.
Yeah, and I've seen that on both ends. I've been at La Mirada Golf Course in La Mirada where we had 90 carts and they all went out every day. And then we did have to rotate them because we got to the point where half of the fleet would go out twice a day and the other half would go out once. And we did have to shuffle them in a certain way so that the ones that went out only once today will go out twice tomorrow. So they'll be the first that get pulled out tomorrow. And the ones that went twice today get put in first so that they only go out once tomorrow. But I mean, it's a hell of a thing. We go through staff like crazy because essentially at the end of every single night, after the ranges close, there are 90 carts just left everywhere. And you got to start, you know, shuffling them around to get the ones that went out twice put in the back first so that they only go out once the next day. Adversely, here at Monterey, we're similar to Colonel Tom's situation at PGA. We have 70 carts in our fleet, but the vast majority of our cart traffic is by members that have their own carts. However, if we're pulling the same 20 carts out every day and putting them back and carts in the back are not getting taken out at all, or they're plugged in for too long, or the water goes dry in the carts we're not using, it messes up the specific gravity and those batteries are worthless. So, I mean, we've got to take carts out. We try to take every cart out at least twice a week. Just if anything, just to unplug it, pull it out, park it, wipe it down. Even if it never left, it gets pulled back in, parked in a different place, and there's a shuffle to it. But you know, the preventative maintenance, you know, at a place that uses the carts infrequently is just as important as the place that uses the carts frequently, because you got to keep that water in those batteries. Because if the water goes dry, it messes up the specific gravity and the battery's worthless. So, yeah. But I challenged Colonel Tom Parker on that one. 47 carts. I think I'd love to see that lease, because I bet you that lease says there's 50 there. They lost 3 and they just said, hey guys, let's just stop talking about 48, 49, and 50, and let's just go with 47.
Well, if you ever see somebody, you know, it's really old and ugly driving down the street in a cart, that might be me. So sorry.
Those are some really good best practices. I think having those little maintenance checks, like you said, with those batteries, it can cost $800 to replace the batteries in the carts. It's unfortunate that I know exactly how much that costs, because that means that we've had to replace some of those batteries. One best practice that we have is every month we have a few of our team members that are signed up to 15 specific golf carts. So the first week, Tom's son would be assigned to cart 1 through 15, and it's his job for that week to get through to make sure to check the tires for wear marks, so that we know if they need to be rotated, to top off the water in those 15 carts, and to make sure those carts are detailed. That's one of the practices that we do to kind of ensure. You said, man, the battery water levels are, we've invested so much money into a fast fill faucet to make sure that we can fill them all at the same time quickly. And again, we spend a lot of time maintaining one of those practices to have them to fill them up all the time.
Okay, excellent. If I could add one more piece of advice, when you have a tournament at your club, and no matter where you are, it happens everywhere. After the tournament is over, remove the cart signs from the cart placard. There's nothing worse than a member at your club calling you out because you've got a placard in a cart from a tournament that was weeks ago. And it seems to never fail. Like the cart guys, it's like their eyes can't see that. They need you to direct them. Otherwise, they'll never see it. They'll leave a team play cart placard from Mission Hills in there with two guys from Mission Hills names on it, even though we haven't played Mission Hills in 6 months. So, well, if there are any other comments, I think that concludes our Launchpad workshop for this afternoon on cart fleet management. On behalf of the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to Mr. Stephen Lynn for putting his time and expertise out for our benefit. Thank you very much, Stephen. Tom's son, Colonel Tom Parker, do you have any closing remarks before we tune out?
No, John, thank you again, everyone. I keep track of all the attendance every week, the Launchpad. We appreciate you guys spending time every Monday at 4 p.m., an hour or so to hopefully not only to participate, to learn, and hopefully it motivates you to progress on your portfolio. So thank you for that. And we have 2 weeks left, and let's keep it going.
And Stephen, hey, you're setting the bar really high there on dress code for these launch pads. So the rest of the 2 instructors coming after you have, got their work cut out for them.
I didn't wear a tie, so at least they don't have to have the all the way penguin suit set up. So
yeah, thank you very much, Stephen.
Thank you very much. Just
as a reminder, everybody, we've been recording this webcast. We're going to upload it to the PGA, SCPGA's YouTube page. I'll also include that link with a little thank you email that we'll send out here this evening to Stephen, along with a PDF version of his PowerPoint, which will be going out. It's also will be available on the Launchpad landing page on scpga.com. Thank you, everybody, on behalf of the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA. Stay safe, stay sane. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you very much.